The bubonic plague. Could come back. Are you living health every day yet? Part 1. A warning from the past. Have you ever thought that a single rat could change the course of human history? I used to think that kind of stuff only happened in fairy tales. That was until I read about the bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death. It wasn't just a disease, it was a black mark on human history. A tragic chapter where, in just a few years, over 75 million people died. And it all started with something that seemed so small. A flea hitching a ride on the back of a rat. Part 2. A spreading plague. A lesson for today. In October of 1347, 12 ships arrived at the port of Sicily. People were excited, waiting for goods and treasures. But what they saw were dead bodies, people gasping for breath, and swollen black lumps. Buboes. The dark signs of death closing in. I once asked my friend Dr. Linda, an infectious disease specialist, why did so many people die back then? I mean, we live in modern times now, right? Isn't that stuff behind us? She just smiled and said, because people back then didn't have the choices we do. But today, even in this advanced world, people are ignoring their health every day. And that's the real danger. Part 3. Disease doesn't just come from the air. A lot of people think illnesses only come from dirty air or being around sick people. But the truth is, what we eat, drink, how we rest, these are actually our body's first line of defense. There was a study published in Frontiers in Immunology that showed vitamins A, C, E, and zinc can boost immune responses in lung cells, the exact place the bubonic plague hits hardest. In other words, you don't need a steel suit of armor. You just need a plate full of colorful veggies, a glass of water instead of soda, a solid night's sleep instead of staying up scrolling on your phone. Part 4. Why is the bubonic plague so extremely dangerous? Yersinia pestis. The name sounds cold and scientific, but it's the reason Europe once fell to its knees. When this bacteria enters your body through a flea bite, it targets your lymph nodes. These nodes swell up to the size of apples, filled with pus and infection. But that's just the beginning. After that, your immune system goes haywire. You get high fevers, your fingertips start to rot, you vomit blood. Then comes something called septic shock, when your body's own defense system goes into overdrive and basically kills you from the inside out. What's even scarier? The incubation period is super short, and by the time you feel sick, you may have already passed it on to others. Part 5. Failed treatment attempts. Back then, doctors treated illness with, let's just say, some pretty risky ideas. They'd drain your blood to balance the body's fluids. They'd lance the boils to release the poison. They'd burn herbs, boil vinegar, soak rose petals. But honestly, most of it just made things worse. I once asked Dr. Hong, if you were a doctor back then, would you try to treat it? She shook her head and said, honestly, I'd probably run. See, bubonic plague didn't just kill people. It crushed their hope. It turned neighbors into strangers, and fear into isolation. Part 6. The plague never left, and could still come back. If you think the plague is something from centuries ago, think again. In 2017, Madagascar had an outbreak of pneumonic plague. Over 200 people died. In the U.S., we still see about 7 plague cases each year, mostly in western states like New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado. In fact, in 2015, there were 15 cases and 4 deaths. That bacteria never really went away. It's still hiding out in the wild, in forest rats, stray cats, and fleas. Part 7. Our lesson. Health. Every day. I get it. Talking about deadly diseases can feel scary, but this isn't a story about fear. It's a story about awareness. You don't have to be a doctor to prevent illness. You just have to be someone who values your own breath every single day. You can start with the small things. Add 1 more vegetable to your meal. Drink 1 more glass of plain water. Go to bed just 30 minutes earlier. Take a 10-minute walk instead of sitting all day. That's how you live health every day. No pressure, no overthinking, just simple, mindful care. Part 8. What kind of life will you choose? You know, if we had lived in 14th century Europe, you and I probably wouldn't have survived. But we live in modern times. We have science, medicine, and most importantly, choices. So the real question is, what kind of life will you choose? Is there a dish that makes you breathe easier, feel lighter, more alive? Is there a habit that makes you feel like you're nourishing your body, not just feeding it? Share it with me in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, send it to someone you care about, especially someone who's tired, coughing, or living in a smoggy city. Bubonic plague is a painful chapter in human history. But health every day is our chance to write a new story, one that's lighter, healthier, and more awake. Part 9. What do the experts say about immunity and the plague? I once asked Dr. Linda, if the plague really came back, would we actually be able to fight it? She answered calmly, if we catch it early and treat it with the right antibiotics at the right dose, we can cure over 90% of cases. But the problem is, most people ignore the warning signs. They think, it won't happen to me. And that's when it's too late. I nodded. It made sense. But then she added, no one is naturally immune to the bubonic plague, but you can make your body a harder place for it to take hold. Stronger, harder to take down. And that doesn't start in a hospital. It starts with the way you live every single day. See? A doctor with 20 years of experience who's seen countless infection cases still believes health every day is the real shield. Part 10. Rats, fleas, and a medieval nightmare. Rats, those tiny little creatures, were once the villains that unleashed terror across Europe. But here's the strange part. Some recent research suggests that the main culprits behind the plague might not have been fleas on rats, but fleas on humans. Why? Because the disease spread way too fast to match the usual rat-to-human infection model. Back then, personal hygiene was basically non-existent. People lived close together, rarely bathed, wore filthy clothes. And when you hear that, doesn't something click? Everyday habits, like washing your body, doing laundry, getting enough sleep, eating real food, those little things can actually save an entire society. Part 11. Vaccines, antibiotics, and a new fear. I know what you're thinking. But we have medicine now. What's there to worry about? True, we do have antibiotics. But did you know bacteria can evolve? Many doctors are concerned that Yersinia pestis, the bacteria behind bubonic plague, might one day become resistant to antibiotics. And if that happens, we could be thrown right back into medieval times. Right now, researchers are racing to develop new vaccines, but we don't have a perfect solution yet. So what can you do? The best thing, honestly, is still this. Take care of your body every single day. Part 12. A 14th century disease. A 21st century lifestyle. We no longer live in an age of mud floors, water wells, and candlelight. We have clean water, the internet, doctors, and science. But the real question is, are we living any healthier? Rushed breakfasts made of coffee and pastries, late-night dinners full of fried food and sugary drinks. We've moved forward in time, but not always forward in how we live. A full day sitting at your desk, barely moving. That's not rest. That's how we roll out the red carpet for illness. The bubonic plague reminds us of one thing. No immune system can stay strong if you treat your body like a machine that never needs care. Part 13. You are the one writing the next chapter of history. History isn't just something that happened. It's a message, a mirror, a quiet whisper that says, if we don't learn to live differently, we'll repeat the same tragedy, just wearing a modern mask. Today, you don't have to fight the plague with your bare hands. You have choices. You have knowledge. You have time. You are the one writing the next chapter of history. With the dinner you choose tonight, with the choice to sleep 15 minutes earlier, or by swapping one soda for a simple glass of water. Part 14. A gentle reminder. I don't want you to walk away afraid. I just hope you cherish your breath a little more. Because somewhere out there, a single flea might still exist. But if you live mindfully, if you listen to your body, if you build health every day, then fear won't be the thing guiding your life anymore. If you've made it this far, thank you, truly. Now it's your turn. Do you have a simple tip for eating healthy without the stress? Is there a dish that makes you feel lighter, breathe easier? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. And don't forget to send this video to someone who might need a soft nudge, someone who needs to remember that taking care of their health isn't something far off. It's human. It's now.